Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammā-sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammā-sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammā-sambuddhassa. Good evening, everyone, and good morning, everyone. Our Q&A discussion today is entitled Right Intention, because we've been talking about right view last week, and then today we'll be discussing about right intention. So we know that right intention is a result of right view, because if we can maintain right view, sammā-diṭṭhi, that leads us to have right thoughts. There is always a discussion about right. Is samma right, or wholesome, skillful? But I go by the flow. I mean, the word right is what we all know. So, but inside of this right terming, we also need to know that there is an element of skillfulness, because every right thing is not wholesome. So let's say right intention, because right intention is a result of right view, sammā-diṭṭhi. And there are other things that are involved about sammā-sankappo, because sammā-sankappo is the place where we have thoughts, where we make thoughts for speech, action, and XYZ. So we need to have a clear knowledge of what sammā-sankappo means. I mean, what right intention means. So, what is right intention? If our thoughts simply reflect reality as it is, without judgments or ideas getting in the way, that is basically right thought, intention. There are the couple termings for sammā-sankappo. One is right intention, which is what I've been using for this Q&A. And another terming is right thought. And some other people also use right resolve, but I would rather use right intention. But when you say intention, it is not the intention that we talk about with volition, right? What you call cetana. Because here we are forming thoughts based on our view, diṭṭhi. Diṭṭhi is always a problematic thing, but if we can at least bring our views into a wholesome, skillful level, that is good. And with that in mind, with that diṭṭhi in action, you're going to form healthy, skillful, right intentions or thoughts. Now, you all know right intention is the second wisdom, or the second component of the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, before I jump into further details about right intention, I want to say that one of the very famous suttas about the Noble Eightfold Path is Mahācattarisaka Sutta. Now, this is Majjhima Nikaya 117 Sutta. Now, in this sutta, we can understand precisely about different things and hidden things that many of us have no idea about. Now, it clearly says that there are two versions of Noble Eightfold Path. So, a person, like a normal, ordinary person, is practicing this, what you call the first version of Eightfold Path. Generally speaking, it is not called noble, because noble is exclusively used for the second version. The second version is being practiced by arahants who already have attained Nibbana. Let's say sammā-diṭṭhi has two versions. People like generally speaking, ordinary folks, they practice the first layer of samadhi, sammā-sankappo, vacha, kammanta, ajivayam, sati, samadhi. But even the arhants who have already attained nibbana, they also practice the Eightfold Path. So when they practice in a different way. So when they practice, it is called Noble Eightfold Path. So we don't, although we use Noble Eightfold Path, but because when ordinary people practice, the Eightfold Path, it's not called noble because they have defilements and what you call five aggregates in action. It's called the Eightfold Path. But when the Arhants practice this, we call it Noble Eightfold Path. They also practice additional two components. So their path is tenfold. We call Noble Tenfold Path, Sammā-vimukti, Sammā-jnana, and Sammā-vimukti. So please keep that in mind before we talk about right intention. So as I said, right intention is the second component of the Eightfold Path. So, it follows directly from right understanding, I would say right view, because your thoughts and intentions arise from your perception of reality. So how much you see, the reality with what you do directly affect the formation of your thoughts. So if you are someone who is not into insight, I would say vipassana way of looking at things, inside and outside, I would say within and out, beyond, then what happens, your thoughts are going to form depending on the level of your right view, which has an understanding about how you view other things, phenomena, right? So the level of your thoughts, or level of your intentions, basically based on your view. So that's why right view comes as the first thing. So it's the forerunner. But anyways, now we have come to right intentions based on the right view. So what are the right thoughts? How many right, I would say, what are the right intentions? How many right intentions did the Buddha discuss, tell? So there are three right intentions which were given by the Buddha. What are they? You all know, sammā-sankappo, sankappo, and sankappo. So these are called right intentions. So intentions. So sammā-sankappo means intention, absence of desire or greed. We call it renunciation, the intention or thought of renunciation. And sankappo means absence of ill will, so a thought which has no ill will. And sankappo means absence of harmlessness. Perhaps know Gandhi philosophy in India, the person who talks about, non-violence. So, Buddha talk about this thing as an intention in the Eightfold Path under right intention. So there are basically three intentions. So sankappo, sankappo, sankappo means right intention on based on renunciation, right intention based on non-ill will, right intention based on harmlessness. So the opposite is wrong intention. I would say sankappo. We call it miccha. What are they? We call them this way. Katamocha bhikkhave sankappo, kama sankappo, vyapada sankappo, vihinsa sankappo, ayam bhikkhave sankappo. This is given in the Mahachattarya Sutta. And what bhikkhus is wrong intention? The intention of sensual desire, that means kama sankappo, which is the opposite of renunciation. And vyapada sankappo, the intention of sensual desire, the intention of ill will, and sammā-sankappo, the intention of harm. I would say cruel. Some people say cruelty, but I would say harm. So now you understand what intentions or what thoughts are good, what thoughts are not good. So what we are supposed to practice is thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of non-ill will, thoughts of harmlessness. So now, are there any different practices that we can do in order to practice these three layers of right intention? Yes. Now, how can we practice renunciation? Kind of thoughts on renunciation. So we need to practice generosity. So we need to be generous. So we have to find different ways to be generous. Now, a lot of people think just by giving dana that they fulfill generosity, but there are other ways too. So we'll talk about all those things. So basically, we practice generosity to create, form more thoughts on renunciation. Second, what can be a practice that we could do to develop thoughts on what do you call non-ill will? Because what is ill will? Ill will mean thoughts of destroying other people. So it's pretty clear that we need to practice loving kindness, compassion. So if we practice these two, definitely we are not creating any thought to destroy anyone. Even mudita, because mudita is that we are happy about other people's achievements. Now, this is kind of a very big achievement for many, because people are not happy when other people are achieving their lives, right? So metta, karuna, mudita, they are pretty good to practice in order to create intentions, thoughts on non-ill will. Now, what could we do to practice thoughts on harmlessness? Now, as lay people, you take 5 precepts. So in the 5 precept analysis, the first precept is not killing. So we need to practice the golden rule at this point. So we don't want to harm other people, because they also deserve to live. They also they have a right to live. Not even the humans, but also animals, right? So if we form this mentality, we will never harm other people. Just because we are very greedy about us, or just because we are very much into what we possess, we might behave badly towards others, so which is not good. That's why always take you as an example. What you really need, you never like to be harmed, you never like to be scolded, you never like to be criticized. So why not other people? So other people also think the same way. They also need safety, they also need protection and all that, right? Safeguard. Okay, so now I talked about what are the right good intentions and what can we do. And the opposite, what we can see in a contrast is karma, vyapada, and what you call vihinsa. So in our daily life, we know we are always surrounded by unethical desires, right? Because Buddha says for people like you, desires are common and they are okay. But when it comes to unethical, level, when it comes to an unethical level, you are crossing the boundary, so which is not good. So you can have your desires, but please try to maintain your boundary. And what about vyapada? Vyapada is which is so bad because you are having intentions to destroy someone by ways of strategizing. You might probably want to, I would say, assassinate one's character. You might perhaps try in different ways to do it in your own minds, which is not good. Because this is the first element of starting panadipata, killing thing, right? So we're gonna protect us. We're gonna take care of us from these thoughts, especially thoughts on destroying other beings. Not even thoughts of destroying other beings, but also destroying you, because we should have self-compassion and compassion for others. So that is where part of we and what do you call vihimsa. Now, we should not harass, bully other people, right? Because they deserve their life. They have a right. Just because they are from different cultures, different countries, different skin color, uh, from their financial status, we should never, never, ever do anything wrong to them. So please try to accept them and do whatever helpful stuff towards them, rather than picking on them. They are different by ways of skin, country, culture, because we are trying to see people differently, not people in the same way, which is not good, which is pretty bad. So we have to always see people differently, see the different beauty, see the different skill that they maintain in their own cultures, ways of looking at, ways of perspective. Okay, so three wrong intentions, three right intentions. One more time, renunciate the first three. I would say there are three right intentions: intention on renunciation, intention on what do you call non-ill will, intention on harmlessness. So these are the three right intentions that we need to practice by sammā-sankappo. And on the contrary to the right intention, there are wrong intentions which we have to always avoid. What do you call unethical desires, I would say greed, and then ill will and harmful thoughts. So we have to avoid these three. That is how we're going to avoid the micchā-sankappa and put us back into the sammā-sankappa. Why wrong intentions arise? They arise out of delusion, I would say misunderstanding of reality. So we always struggle with misunderstanding. That is why we may come up with wrong intentions, thoughts. That is why I encourage you to practice more towards sammā-ditti, right view, because when you have right view, the rest of the things will be taken care of with the support of sammā-ditti. So right view, if you have wisdom, if you have a realistic way of looking at everything, right, then you definitely come up with right intentions, right thought. That's the key. Okay, let's go into the sutta. As I told you, there are two aspects. There are two people who practice each component of the Eightfold Path. So normally, when an ordinary person like you is to practice Eightfold Path, we don't call it noble, because in Pali, in the sutta called Mahachattarayasaka Sutta, Buddha does not use Arya when an ordinary person practices the Eightfold Path. Now, but when an Arahant, someone who has attained Nibbana, is to practice the path, then it will become noble, because they have gone beyond the asavas, defilements. Now, let me read so you will get a clear sense of what I say. Now, let's take right intention, in this case, sammā-sankappa. Katamocha bhikkhave sammā-sankappo. What bhikkhus is right intention? Sammā-sankappa, sammā-sankappam pahang bhikkhave dvayang vadami. Okay, now Buddha says right intention is twofold. Now, this is the same thing that I told you, because there's an ordinary person like you, like a normal person who has not attained Nibbana, is to practice sammā-sankappa, whatever the other component, and there's an Arahant is to practice the same thing. So this division. Atti bhikkhave sammā-sankappo sāsavo punya bhāgyo upadivepakko. Atti bhikkhave sammā-sankappo ariyo anāsavo lokuttaro maggango. Now, Buddha did not use Arya when a normal person is to practice any of these parts. Now, let me read that. Because right intention is twofold. Not even right intention. All these other, 7, because the last 2, 9 and 10, they are exclusively for the Arhants. There is right intention or sammā-sankappo that is affected by taints. That means sāsava, defilement. Partaking of merit, punya bhagyu. Now, when normal people like you practice sammā-sankappo, you acquire merits. You create merits, but Arahants do not. They do not acquire merits when they practice any of these 8, the first 8. Ripening in the acquisitions, upadi-vepakko. Now, when a normal person like you, an unenlightened being like you, practices any of these components, first 8, you practice it with the 5 aggregates. So you are not exempted from the 5 aggregates, because we know sopadisesa nibbana dhatu, which means that the Arhant has already attained the first nibbana element, but they attain the second nibbana element when they die, when they pass away. So, but we, although we carry our body which has 5 aggregates, we have not released our bodies. So that's why whenever people like us are to practice any of these first 8, samadhi, sammā-sankappa, vāca, kammanta, ajiva, vayama, sati, samadhi, now we practice with a perspective of what you call taints, partaking of merits, ripening in the acquisitions. We call them sāsavo, punya-bhagyu, upadi-vepakko, these Pali terms. So I'm trying to tell you that is why we become not Arya at that point. So it is just sammā-sankappo. And what about sammā-sankappo when it comes to Aryas, I mean Arhants? Sammā-sankappo Aryo anāsavo lokuttaro maggango. And there is right intention that is noble, taintless, supramundane, a factor of the path. Now, this is the sort of sammā-sankappa practiced by the Arahants. Okay. Now, let's take a look at now, this is the same thing that we did when we talk about how does a normal person like us practice sammā-sankappa. Katamocha bhikkhave sammā-sankappo, sāsavo, punya-bhagyu, upadi-vepakko, nekkhamma-sankappo, thoughts on renunciation, abhyapada-sankappo, thoughts on non-ill will, avihinna-sankappo, thoughts on harmlessness. Katamocha bhikkhave sammā-sankappo, aryo anāsavo, lokuttaro maggango. Now, this is about the sort of sammā-sankappa practiced by Arahants. Yoko bhikkhave arya chittassa, anāsava chittassa, arya magganga samangino, arya maggang bhavetu. Okay, now when there's an Arahant who has no defilements, who has a mind which has no defilements, is to practice sammā-sankappa this way. Takko, vitakko, sankappo, appana, vyapana, chetaso, abhiniropana, vaci sankharo, ayam bhikkhave sammā-sankappo aryo anāsavo lokuttaro maggango. What does it mean? And what monks is right intention that is noble, taintless, supramundane, a factor of the path. The thinking, we call takko means the thinking, vitakko is thought, sankappo is intention, appana means mental absorption through jhanas, vyapana means mental fixity, chetaso abhiniropana means directing of mind, vaci sankharo means verbal formation. So this is how Arahants practice sammā-sankappa. So there's a clear distinction between. So I just want to tell you that at the beginning before I jump into Q&A. And there's another sutta about sammā-sankappa, that is Dvedha Vitakka Sutta. Dvedha Vitakka Sutta. Now I would say Dveda means like a dual. Vitaka means what you call intention. So this is Majjhima Nikaya 19. You can see in this sutta, Buddha explains about something that which he had when he was a bodhisattva. So when he was a bodhisattva, he was thinking this way. This thought of sensual desire has arisen in me. This leads to my own affliction, to others, and to the affliction of both. It obstructs wisdom, causes difficulty, so and leads away from Nibbana. So Buddha was practicing two ways, dvedha vitaka, two ways of intention. So he first practiced kama, vyapada, and vihinsa vitakas. I would say he practiced the intentions of desire, ill will, and then harmful thoughts. And then he understood this is not the proper way, and this what you call leads to my own affliction, this leads to others' affliction, this leads to the affliction of the both, it obstructs wisdom, it causes difficulties, it leads away from Nibbana. And not even intentions on or thoughts on sensual desire or unethical desires, but also ill will and harmful thoughts. And then he moved on to the second way of thinking. Second way of thinking, intention was the opposite of those three. And then he found out that those type of vitakas help him to practice his jhanic things, and he attained first, second, third, fourth jhana. So okay, too much about textual stuff. I actually wanted to talk these things because then you will understand how important sammā-sankappo, right intention, is throughout the text. Okay, the first question. What happens in my mind during the day when I think about sammā-sankappo? Okay, your mind is a busy place. Not even your mind, like everybody's mind is a busy place. The mind never stops moving. Ironically, the present moment is the one place we don't want to be, because all of us want to go either to the past or to the future. We are always struggling to catch up us on the present moment. So we kind of get caught up either in the past or in the future. So the only thing that we are not paying enough attention is the present moment. So that is something that is happening to all of our minds. So mind is a busy place. Mind never stops moving. And the present moment is the place where we don't want to be for the most part of our day. So it's a wonder you don't bump into the furniture and end up under a bus, because mind is so hectic, right? So mind is always, moving and moving. This is what happens. That's why Buddha asks us to practice satipatthana, right? Satipatthana practice can help us to stay onto the moment and then not developing, encouraging these harmful intentions, thoughts. I would say kama vitakas, vyapada vitakas, vihinsa vitakas during our day. So that's the only thing that you can do. So if you are not practicing mindfulness, I would say satipatthana, then what will happen? All the kama vitakas, vyapada vitakas, vihinsa vitakas chase you, and you will fall prey to that. That will happen to you if you don't practice couple satipatthanas. I would say satipatthana on kaya, body, satipatthana on feeling, satipatthana on the states of your mind, satipatthana on the mental properties, I would say emotional and conceptual. Second question. And Dhamma folks, if you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. So I'm going to get into them after. Second question. Are there any connections to my thoughts with past events, majorly in my early life? If so, what can I do for them? A good question. Like, we all have experiences with our thoughts, intentions in the past, starting from our family life, right? Now, oftentimes our thinking is based on habits of thought laid down at early stage of our life, right? So we are conditioned by I would say, interacting with our parents, siblings, family members. Some people, they hate their past. My family either helped me or destroyed me. My friends, my partners. So I mean, this way of thinking over time can create kind of a very bad, negative talk inside of you. So that is a bad thing. That, I mean, that is not a healthy thing. That's why we have to forgive for the past and then to continue, because this moment is very important. If we lose this moment just because we bring something from the past, that is not productive, efficient, and effective, right? So what I can tell you is that when you practice right intention, you will never allow yourself to bring those past memories, to destroy, to take over your present moment. So that is something that you need to know. So how you can bring, so I mean, you have to always be with satipatthana, I would say, mindfulness. When you are in mindfulness, there are things you need to do. Mindfulness alone will not create anything. So when you are into mindfulness, satipatthana, then what will happen? You need to bring yourself towards nekkhamma, abhyapada, and abhihinsa, I would say, thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of non-ill will, thoughts of harmlessness. So when you bring all these thoughts, these three types of thoughts, as much as you can, then you will definitely let go those past events, moments, because you know that how important is this moment. Third question: why is sammā-sankappo, right intention, an emotional activity rather than an intellectual activity? Okay. Sammā-sankappo, is it an emotional activity rather than an intellectual activity? Yes, a very good question. Now, most of our intentions, I would say thoughts, they are reflections of our emotions. That is why they become emotions, because we are not able to intellectualize those intentions, right? So then what happens is that our intentions become more emotional rather than intellectual or wise, in a higher level, in a deep down higher level. So that is why we want to practice satipatthana, so that we can practice those three intentions. Then we will understand what is the real nature of the particular event, and then we are able to let go of that past event. So if you think that there is something that is bothering you now, so you are able to understand what it is in reality, and you can let it go quickly, as soon as you can. So for most people, intentions become emotional rather than intellectual. The thing is that they don't have a proper management of how they want to take care of their intention. That's why it becomes emotional. Now, we don't need to go into sammā-sankappo. I mean, just take one example. Whenever you are spending your days during the day, if you are not intellectual, if you are not wise enough, you might take everything that is happening to you and to other people with an emotional tone, right? So, but if you give some time towards it, towards your thoughts, if you give some intellectual elements towards what's happening, I mean, all these events, phenomena, then your thoughts, intentions will never become emotional. They will become intellectualized. You become a smart person, right? You become a person who knows what to do at the right time, right? Just because you are not giving enough thoughts towards what's happening around you and within you, then what will happen? You become you get caught up in the emotional way of intentions, which is pretty bad. Those emotional ways of intentions are the wrong intentions. I would say kama vitakkas, thoughts on desires, unnecessary, unethical desires, and vihinsa vitakkas, vyapada vitakkas, thoughts on destroying other people, ill will, and then vihinsavitakas thoughts on harmful things to other people. So you are not caught up in those thoughts because you are more into intellectual side of your intentions. I mean, that is good. But I know that we should have some emotion, but emotions should not take over your intellectual part. So we need some level of emotions towards our intellectual part as well. But emotional level should not go over the intellectual part. Question number 4, is right intention a form of meditation? Yeah, I mean, it can be, because when you develop right intention thoughts, uh, you probably can say that it's a kind of a meditation, right? Does sammā-sankappo fit nicely with the three anupassana satipatthanas, chitta anupassana? Yeah, because the third satipatthana is states of consciousness, I would say chitta-anupassana. So whenever you are balancing, managing, dealing with your thoughts, so I mean, that can definitely fit into the bigger topic called chitta-anupassana. Is sammā-sankappo thoughts or emotions? I would say they are thoughts supported by either emotions or intellectual elements. So I'm asking you to practice the intellectual or wise elements with a low level of emotions, but don't take thoughts with a lot of emotions, because emotions will give you a lot of harm. But add uh, some level of emotions to your intellectual thoughts. I mean, we need some emotions, but as I said earlier, emotions should not take over our intellectual part of thinking. Give some level of emotions, because we have to balance our intellectual part. Because when you are only having intellectual part, you might be boring, you might be not into level of right feelings too. How to stay consistent with my intentions when the person I help not appreciate me? A good question. Now, yeah, I mean, in our daily life, we want to help. We help people in our own capacities. It's true, but sometimes people don't appreciate us. So the first thing is that we have to find out, should I help this person? Because there are different people in society, in our family, friend circles, right? So we have to first find out, is this going to be okay? Not because that I want to have credit or not. So if you make sure that, okay, they need it, I can also support, I can also give, so it's fine, I'm gonna go. But if you don't know whether they need it or not, that's a problem. But if you make that clear, but still there is a doubt that is prevailing, like you are making food, you never know, the person who's eating might say good about your food. The person likes food, but you are gonna make the food, and you never know what the person's gonna say. Okay, so if I were that person who is eating that food, I'm not saying what you call constructive criticism about the food. I would rather say the food is good, okay, not good, it's okay. But there may be other people who might say different things. So you always have a choice who to help, right? So, and where to help, when to help. So try to find out these elements of your help. But in the worst case scenario, if someone is to say that, you know, even how much you try to make clear everything, but even though that person's trying to say anything bad, uh, just be happy, because you made a choice, because you could have not done it. So you made a choice. So depending on your choice, you can give some good thoughts about it. I did it with my good thoughts, but these people are different. So you always have a choice of what, because you can change their mindset, right? That's why you have to first look at whether I should help or not. I really want to help, but if I can, if there are other problems coming up, then I'm gonna think it differently, right? Probably I might find different other ways to help that person, not through my way, but maybe through other friends, but give some other thoughts to help other people if you really want. In case this happens, a bad comment comes up, just be patient, because this can happen to anyone, including me. Okay. Does right intention work two ways? Yes, because let's say if I were the person who wanted to help someone, so I have the right intention, I want to practice what you call sammā-sankappo, giving, thoughts on giving, letting go, renunciation. And then the other person might also, uh, have the same level of, uh, or different levels of right intentions. I would say other person might be very friendly to me, so he or she might be practicing what you call sankappo, avihimsa sankappo. So it works two ways. So when you are practicing right intentions, that can really help the other person to come up with right intentions too. If you are practicing wrong intentions, other person also will respond in the same way. Does Kalyana Mitta help staying with the right intentions? Okay, I mean, pretty much I would say, does Kalyana Mitta help us in practicing right intentions? Yes, if you are surrounded by someone who is always having bad intentions, wrong intentions, wanna like so many things, wanna like so many people, wanted to harm other people, wanted to harass other people, uh, over time you will be a person of the same attitude, right? So that's why we have to, find out Kalyana Mittas. Kalyana Mittas never, take us to wrong intentions. In one of the suttas, in I think in Samyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha talks about there are two Kalyana Mittas that we can have. The first Kalyana Mitta is the Buddha. So that means we all have one Kalyana Mitta already. The second Kalyana Mitta we have to find out. So Kalyana Mittas never take us into bad things, wrong activities. So we will be definitely promoted, motivated, developed by their presence, their ideas, their thoughts, attitudes that can really help us practice right intentions, because we can feel what my friend, what my Kalyana Mitta thinks, just because, I can have a good, not just because I have a friendship, but because I know this person is a good person. How does sammā-sankappo work with a habitual thinker? Now, this again goes back to a thinker, like a habitual thinker about life. Now, there are people who always want to think, but this thinking can go beyond rumination. I would say, when you take a look at books like Visuddhimagga, we can see there are temperaments. So there's one temperament called vitakka charita. So there are temperaments like raga, dosa, moha, saddha, buddhi, vitakka. So vitakka charita means someone who has a temperament of thinking, overthinking. So overthinking is a bad thing, because when you overthink about anything, that can really take you to unnecessary thoughts, and then you might perhaps develop a lot of wrong views, and you might be a slave to past events, bad events. So habitual thinker means someone who is always thinking on the wrong side, thinking on wrong, based on the wrong things. So sammā-sankappo is a good antidote to a habitual thinker, because if the habitual thinker can really practice, start with right view, and he or she can definitely stop overthinking, or I would say stop being a habitual thinker, because the Buddha also said that we should not think too much about some stuff, like I would say about especially the bad events, because if there was a bad event, so we're gonna get rid of that bad event by mentally purifying us, because we have to purify our mentality, rather than letting it be destroyed by past bad events. What are the easy ways to practice sammā-sankappo? Okay, I can tell you the same method that I always share with you. That is RAIN methodology, RAIN. RAIN methodology, RAIN. So this stands for, R stands for recognizing, A stands for accepting, I stands for investigating, and N stands for non-identifying. So how can we bring sammā-sankappo or micchā-sankappo into right intentions into this method called RAIN, RAIN? So whenever you find out that there is a karma vitaka, unethical desire arises in you, you need to recognize that unethical desire. I would say greed or unethical desire. Then A, accept. So whenever you recognize you have a karma vitaka, vyapada vitaka, vihinsa vitaka, I would say unethical desire, a thought of unethical desire, a thought of ill will, a thought of harm arise in you, then you need to recognize it or them, and then you need to accept they exist, or this particular intention arose in me. And then recognizing, accepting, and then I investigate. I need to investigate. You need to investigate this particular bad intention or thought in multiple ways. I would say you can investigate this particular thought, karma, vyapada, vihinsa, vitakas, physically, because whenever you have an unethical desire, you can notice there are a lot of things happening within you. You are so quick to respond. You are so heavy. You are probably you are arguing. You are criticizing other people. You are having extreme ideas, thoughts about different things. You are into commotions. You are into, I would say, disagreement. So you have to take a look, why these things happening? I need to recognize, I need to accept, I need to investigate them physically and also mentally and emotionally. What are the things happening within me? Okay, I really want to get it. I really want to get him. I really want to go there. I really want to do this. So I mean, all these things work in a bad way if you have bad intent. So you're gonna do this three, and then finally N, RAIN. N stands for non-identification. If you can deconstruct you from the particular event, let's say if I come with an excessive desire for a food, about a food, then if I can understand, recognize my thought that what you call food craving, right, as a thought, then what I am supposed to do is that I need to recognize it. I need to accept this is in me now. I'm gonna investigate it. I'm gonna deconstruct me from that particular food craving. So this is the way how we're gonna do. So whenever you have any I would say bad or wrong intention, you're gonna use RAIN methodology to get rid of the particular bad intention, I would say wrong intention. Also, you can practice another way. This way is easy. Whenever I assume you have right view, and then I assume that you can start off this kind of a practice as well. So let's say before you think about anything, try to bring the perspective of right intention. Does it align with nekkhamma sankappo? I mean, does it align with the thoughts on renunciation? Does it align with the thoughts on what you call non-ill will? Does it align with the thoughts on harmlessness? So you're gonna bring those three triangular perspective before you think about anything, person or a thing, right? And at the time of your working with that particular activity, you're gonna bring it back, this triangular perspective back again to your activity. Is what I'm doing now, aligning with the triangular perspective of sammā-sankappo. I would say thoughts on renunciation, thoughts on non-ill will, thoughts on harmlessness. After you finish your activity, you gotta look back. What's the activity that I engage with before align with Nekama-sankappo, Avyapada-sankappo, Avihisa-sankappo. So this way you can minimize the damage that can happen. Okay. What are the other things? I don't see any questions here. Dhamma folks, please post your questions if you have. Otherwise, we can go into the transference of merits after this. Okay, so ill will is a big problem. I know that you have your own boundaries towards unethical desires, but let me talk about ill will. Some of the things that you could do to get rid of ill will. Okay, one of the things that you could do is be mindful about the priming. I would say priming means the real substance or real nature of the particular activity. So if you can be mindful, you will never create unnecessary cravings towards that, so that you will not be coming up with ill will. Inspect the underlying trigger. Now, we never do this. Whenever we come up with what you call vyapada, ill will, we never look at what you call the underlying trigger of what really made me to be into ill will. Do not cling to what you want. So this is a big problem too, right? So clinging after craving, what happens is tanha paccaya upadana. So because of feelings, what we will be into is craving, and then craving takes us to upadana, which you call clinging. Yeah, so there are many other ways that you can find out why we should not be into unethical desires and what you call ill will, and then harmful activities. So please try to find out all these things, and then practice rain to get rid of all that. Any other questions, Dhamma folks? Okay, let me read one more question. I'm still waiting for someone to write a question if you want. Okay, why is sammā-sankappo so difficult to practice in daily life? Okay, so the main problem why people can practice sammā-sankappo very easily is that they don't practice sammā-diṭṭhi. That is why they can practice sammā-sankappo easily, because if you have sammā-diṭṭhi, if you see things as they are, and then at the same time practice those different types of sammā-diṭṭhi, I would say sammā-diṭṭhi based on 10 things which we discussed that day, also sammā-diṭṭhi based on the kamma and vipaka, you will never have any wrong view about the reality, so that you are in a very easy place, you are in a very comfortable place to practice sammā-sankappo. So the most difficult thing that many people are having when it comes to practicing sammā-sankappo is that they are not practicing enough of sammā-diṭṭhi. So if they practice enough of sammā-diṭṭhi, they have a better chance, better opportunity to practice sammā-sankappo. I accept that people are practicing sammā-sankappo, differently. So I mean, we have to accept that. But although you may have different levels of samadhi, it doesn't harm you to practice some level of sammā-sankappo, because sammā-sankappo is always encouraged, because it's not bad, it's not harmful to practice, renunciation, thoughts on renunciation, thoughts on non-ill will, thoughts on, I would say, harmlessness, right? It's pretty easy to have thoughts on unethical desires, ill will, and harm. They are pretty easy. So let's make a challenge to those wrong intentions, thoughts, and then try to be on the opposite side. Okay, no more questions. Let's wrap this up. May all the good karmas we've been doing so far be shared by all the departed relatives and the deities. May all the good karmas be shared by all the departed relatives who passed away in the name of all of us. May they be happy and peaceful. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me ñāti nang huntu sukhita huntu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang huntu sukhita huntu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang huntu sukhita huntu ñātayo. Let's share all the good karmas with the deities who protect all of us. May all the deities and nagas share in all these good karmas. May they be happy and peaceful. May they also attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ettavata cha ammehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu lokasasanang chirang rakhantu desanang chirang rakhantu mang paranti. Finally, let's make a great wish. May all the good karmas we've been doing so far be helpful, be supportive all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana silissa nichang vaddhapachayino chattaru dhamma vaddhanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati saminchatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yeah, please continue to take care of yourself. Have a good night and have a good day. Take care.